And now to the latest in the war in Ukraine.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
President Biden wrapping up his European visit, saying Russia and Vladimir Putin have strangled democracy. The president also telling the Ukrainian people, "We stand with you." Meanwhile, powerful explosions rocking Lviv in western Ukraine. One of the strikes hitting a fuel storage facility, causing it to catch fire. Another strike significantly damaging the city's infrastructure facilities. The attack is significant since Lviv has previously been spared during Russia's worst attacks, and the city is also close to Ukraine's border with Poland. All this happening as President Biden doubles down on his support for NATO allies.
Don't even think about moving on one single inch of NATO territory.
President Biden delivering remarks and a stern warning to Russia in Warsaw at the tail end of his European trip, with both a forceful message for Russian President Vladimir Putin and a continued pledge of solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
We stand with you, period.
This speech coming after a meeting with the Polish president. Throughout the day, President Biden slamming Putin, calling him a butcher, and then in his speech, an off-script remark.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
The White House working to clarify, saying the president was not calling for regime change in Russia, just speaking off the cuff after meeting with refugees and seeing the situation on the ground in Poland, where more than 2 million refugees have fled. Just miles from the Polish border in the western Ukrainian city of Lviv, more explosions, missile strikes burning a fuel storage facility as the aerial bombardment of Ukraine continues. President Biden reaffirming the U.S.'s commitment to the NATO Charter.
American forces are here to defend NATO allies.
And more than 2 million Ukrainian refugees have crossed into Poland alone. President Biden warning in those remarks that the fight ahead for democracy in Ukraine will be a long one.
The war in Ukraine forcing millions of people to leave home behind in search of safety. Thousands heading to nearby Poland, where small towns are bending over backwards to help with the influx of people. The 19's Adam Williams spent some time in these border communities this week, and he has more on the refugee crisis.
With thousands upon thousands of refugees coming through daily, the population of one of the Polish towns we visited has ballooned so quickly, volunteers have reimagined how to use the little space they have available. Crowds gather as music echoes through the streets of Przemyśl, Poland. At the train station, the sounds of suitcases mix with the clatter of spoons scooping pasta for hungry refugees. This relatively small city with a population of just 60,000 is using every possible space to try to help the wave of 400,000 Ukrainians who have arrived here, like turning this theater into a shelter.
Food, drink, place to sleep, it's safe, warm.
Instead of listening to performances, people here are laying their heads on pillows. The ballroom is filled with blankets, cots, clothing, and toys. Olga, who was on her way to Germany from Kyiv, is thankful for the help.
Polish people really very fantastic, and God thank you. First, thanking God, and second, thanking people who really help us.
It's been an exhaustive journey for so many Ukrainians who have had to flee their country. Here's a place where they can rest, get supplies, and find out where they go next. 11-year-old Andriy spends his time here playing on his phone and reading books.
I live in Kharkiv, and there is a war, and we drive to Poland.
Where's your father?
He's in Kharkiv.
Do you miss him?
Yes.
Have you talked to your dad?
Yes, I send message.
His mother, Katya, showing us pictures of what Russian bombs have done to their home. Now Katya and Andriy need the most basic items, and there are so many families in the same situation. This is an old supermarket where now refugees can get supplies, they can register, they can even shelter here, and they're met by volunteers from all over the world who are here doing whatever they can to help out. At the supermarket turned staging area, refugees get tubes of toothpaste and baskets of bread. Inside the cavernous building, they sleep where there used to be store shelves. The refugees we spoke with in Przemyśl are grateful for all the assistance, but they dream of better days.
We don't need delicious meat or delicious cheese. We need peace and be home.
What do you miss most about being at home in Ukraine?
In Ukraine, it's good to stay because it is my home.
While at that theater where we met Andriy and Olga, we also talked to a young Polish woman named Marina. She dropped everything to come from Warsaw to volunteer as an interpreter and provide just a little bit of comfort to those refugees. In the newsroom, I'm Adam Williams, 7 News Night Team.
And a show of support for Ukraine from Chestnut Hill, the Boston College community holding a march, standing in solidarity with Ukraine. Students marching, chanting, waving flags, and holding signs. For the latest on the war in Ukraine, stay with the news station. You can always find updates on air, online, and inside the 7 News app.